Are we just animals with thumbs? And what does that have to do with emotional eating versus emotional balance? We're going to cover that in part 5 of the Triumph Over Trauma class that we had here with Candace in Las Vegas, and she's going to cover that especially as it relates to using natural solutions and essential oils, which is so important because the more natural you can go, and it's on top of using safe, effective, as well as less expensive options compared to traditional solutions, is going to be key, because really what that does is it put the power back in your hands with regards to controlling the controllables, which is what you think, say, and do. And that can be very helpful, especially if you can be more proactive with the wellness lifestyle. So make sure to watch this one all the way to the end to get all the important information.
I was talking to her about it, and she exactly like this. She goes, "Ooh, girl, you need some serenity in your life." Exactly like that. Ooh, girl, you need some serenity in your life. Oh my gosh, she's a funny girl for that one. And I had a diffuser, but I didn't have the serenity, so I got the serenity, and it wasn't overnight. Okay, it does take time to establish new patterns. You have to be consistent with the new pattern that you're trying to establish. But by the end of this bottle, which was a little under 3 months, probably about 2.5 months, by the end of this bottle, I was falling asleep every night at midnight. Wow. Which for some people is still really late, but for me, that three more hours of sleep every single night was a game changer for me. So this works really well for the calming and helping you to get into that sleepy time. Now the brain chatter and the can't shut, like, the constant list of, like, I lay down and I'm like, oh my gosh, I need to remember to go to the store tomorrow and I have to get this, and oh, I forgot to make that phone call, and blah blah blah, and I'm going through this checklist in my mind and I can't, like,
shut it off.
Yeah, that's when I turn to the balance oil. The balance oil for me, I love camping, and this smells like camping to me. So I love the balance oil for that particular reason.
It really does help.
Balance is like my catnip.
This one is this one takes you down. Huh? Ooh, you use your own. Nice.
Yeah, she's great.
It does something.
What one's that? The balance.
I
The balance
can
one.
be like this and then go
Mm-hmm.
right away. Immediately.
Wow.
Immediately. This is one
repeatedly using it. You got to that point.
No, this works from the very first moment. Yeah, for this one, this combination.
And then they have the new deodorant. Balance deodorant too.
Well,
Yeah.
I need something. It's funny you say that.
Oh no, she's smelling me full.
well, I do want to say
They have
there
the new
is.
deodorant too.
Yes, I love the balance
Oh my
deodorant.
gosh.
It's so good. I do want to say that there is one oil. It is the king of oils, and it needs no introduction. Apparently, it is frankincense. You're absolutely correct. Frankincense is known as the everything oil, right? And the saying, there's a saying, when in doubt, pull Frank out, right? Yeah, I'm not sure what it is that I should use. Turning to frankincense is never a bad idea. But one of the things that a lot of people don't know about frankincense is the mood enhancing capabilities. So a lot of people know about frankincense as a cellular health, right, and cellular support, but a lot of people don't recognize frankincense as one of the best mood support oils that we have. And I have seen tremendous response from a lot of postpartum mamas.
Oh, yeah, I wish I had that stuff
changes.
when I had my kids.
Yep. So you put it into the diffuser, right? Again, when we're talking about mind, mood, and sleep patterns, right? Emotions, feelings of anxiousness, disrupted sleep patterns, any of those kinds of things, aromatic is going to be one of the best ways that you can support yourself through these times. So the first step is going to be recognizing that you're in pattern, right? The next step is going to be disrupting that pattern. And like I said, this is one of the fastest things and one of the easiest things that you can do anywhere. Because I did try for a little while, like I'm gonna jump up and I'm gonna do some jumping jacks, but then I was on, you guys don't have the BART train here, but I was on a BART train and I'm like, yeah, this is really just, it's public transit in the Bay Area.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a subway or something like that they would have in New York, right? And I'm like, yeah, I'm not busting out with jumping jacks in the middle of this crowded BART train, you know? And so instead, what I'm able to do is just pull some essential oils out of my purse, smell the essential oils. My body now, because I have created this pattern, my response to coming out of pattern is incredibly, like, it's almost unbelievable how quickly I'm able to transform myself because I've created a new pattern, because I've told my body that it's okay to respond in a different way. And now, almost as soon as I open the bottle, it's like, okay, it's over. I'm over. Now, I do want to recognize when we're talking about trauma, what happens here with this cycle is that we have this incident that has occurred, and you go into your acute response time. Then we go into the integration phase and the emotions, and we go into patterns, right? What happens when we move away from that incident is that sometimes we have triggering incidents, okay? So for example, for me, there are movies or shows where I don't maybe know that there's gonna be a rape scene in a movie, right? And it triggers me into this, like, this memory, this muscle memory of things that have occurred to me, and it triggers this cycle. And I go into that acute phase, and I start to go into old patterns, right? So if I'm able to recognize something has triggered me, and I'm able to move through that pattern quickly, I'm absolutely gonna take that hands down. But it could be something different. So there are a lot of women, I have actually counseled over 1,000 women throughout my decade of volunteer work. And there are different things that triggered it. So that's very, for me, it's an easier thing to navigate to Google really quickly, is there a rape scene in this movie that I'm about to go and watch? But for other people, you know, I worked with a woman for a while who was assaulted on her way to the grocery store. So her solution was, I can't go grocery shopping anymore, right? And it's like, that's not a healthy way to deal with this. Now we're in a place where you can actually, you don't have to go to the grocery store. You can actually order your groceries online, right? But that's not necessarily the healthiest of coping mechanisms, right? There is someone who was assaulted by someone who was wearing a red jacket. And now every time they see someone in a red jacket, it triggers this panic response, right? There are different things for different people. When it's a loss of a loved one, you might come across a picture. You might come across an article of clothing. You might run into an old friend that doesn't know that they passed, and they're like, oh, how's your grandpa? And you're like, ooh, daggers, you know? So there can absolutely be triggering incidents, and I don't want to say that avoiding emotions is a healthy response either. That's not what I'm trying to say. It is okay to process emotions. It is okay to respond poorly to a negative life situation. It is a natural response to be sad when someone passes. It is a natural response to be scared after you've been in some sort of an accident. It is a natural response to be incredibly furious and angry and want to hide from the world and kick everyone's ass at the same time after you've been sexually assaulted. These are natural things, and I don't want to hide the emotions that are behind them, and I don't want you to live in that place. Okay, so I want to encourage healthy processing, but I also want to encourage moving away from patterns that are damaging us. Okay, that's the goal here. So I want to talk about just a couple more things, and then I'll ask it open for questions if anyone has anything. I want to talk about two things in particular. One of them is supporting ourselves nutritionally. Okay, a lot of us turn to very poor habits when we get into negative places. And the holidays can be a hard time for a lot of people because a lot of things around family, old trauma tend to kind of surface in these times. And we eat poorly, and we're at all these holiday functions where everyone's got desserts out, and you're eating, you know, your third helping of whatever, and you're not exercising as much because there are too many parties to go to, obviously, we gotta do all of that. But it's also the weather is changing, right? And so now sometimes it's raining. Here in Vegas, I think you guys even get snow from time to time, right? So it's happened. It's happened.
Okay.
You can visit it. So, but when it gets colder, the time is changing too, so it's starting to get darker outside earlier. A lot of people have seasonal depression as well, where even just that lack of sunlight is triggering these responses in our body, and we tend to want to cave up, right? Or it's time for hibernation, kind of a thing. And we hibernate and we eat and we eat and we eat. Well, maybe I'm talking about just meat, but
I think everybody does, because that's how the animals do it. They
and
like
we are
bears, they
just
hibernate.
animals with thumbs.
Yep.
You know? That's what we got. So, and in the midst of all of this food, rarely is it nutritional food. And so one of the best things that you can do for yourself is get yourself into our supplement pack. Okay, so this is a supplement trio that has the vitamins and minerals. It has the healthy omega fats that we need, the healthy omega fish oils. It also comes in a vegan pack if you can't take the fish oils or you don't want any animal products. And then it has the Alpha CRS Plus, okay? What we can do for our body is the basic building block of nutrition. That's our basic building block for all health. So a lot of us think about nutrition as it tends to our physical body.
Okay, lifelong.
Lifelong Vitality Pack.